The Bosnian sun beat down mercilessly on the excavation site, its rays penetrating the dense forest canopy that surrounded the enigmatic pyramids. Dr. Amelia Thornton wiped the sweat from her brow, her keen eyes scanning the freshly unearthed trench before her. Her colleagues, Dr. James Harper and Professor Sarah Chen, were meticulously sifting through the soil nearby, their movements precise and deliberate. "It's been 3 weeks since we last heard from Dr. Kovac," Amelia said, her voice tinged with worry. "His last message was so cryptic yet so urgent. What could he have possibly found?" James looked up from his work, pushing his wire-rimmed glasses back up his nose. Whatever it was, it must have been significant. Kovac was never one for such puzzling clues. He was straight to the point. That work he was doing at these Bosnian pyramids was truly remarkable. The following up of lost archaeologists who were forgotten to time, tracking down old ancient myths and stories of guardians who saved Earth eons ago, painstakingly putting it all together. Sarah nodded in agreement, her dark hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. The way he described it, a discovery that could change the course of human history. It's hard to imagine what could warrant such a claim. As they continued their methodical search, the air grew thick with tension. The trio from Melbourne University had traveled halfway across the world on the strength of a single frantic message from their colleague. Now, surrounded by the ancient mysteries of the Bosnian pyramids, they felt the weight of their quest pressing down upon them. The caretaker of the Bosnian pyramids and her crew of local volunteers all pitch in, helping to find any clues to his whereabouts. Anything could be of use, any little crumb. She approached James. For weeks up until his disappearance, he would often visit a small section of the living quarters in a tiny back room, and would often come back covered in dirt. James, thinking to himself, that was a bit strange, got the caretaker to show him the place he often visited, made the breakthrough. His trowel struck something solid, producing a dull thud that echoed through the trench. "I've got something here," he called out, excitement evident in his voice. Amelia and Sarah rushed over, their hearts pounding with anticipation. As James carefully brushed away the surrounding soil, a weathered leather bag came into view. With trembling hands, he lifted it from its earthy tomb. It's an archaeology bag," Amelia breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "And look, there are documents inside." The trio huddled around as James gently opened the bag. Inside, they found a collection of papers, their text faded and difficult to decipher. But it was the object nestled at the bottom of the bag that truly caught their attention. Sarah reached in and pulled out a small figurine, no larger than her palm. It depicted a regal woman, her posture proud and commanding. But there was something off about it. One of its arms was missing, leaving a jagged break where it should have been holding a staff. "The arm, where is it?" Sarah muttered with a concerning voice. "Check the bag again. Maybe it's there," James pointed out, holding his breath. She quickly found the missing arm, breathing a sigh of relief. "It's beautiful," Sarah murmured, turning the figurine over in her hands. As she did so, she noticed something etched into the base. "Wait, there's writing here. It says, 'To save the world, connect the broken arm and she will be free.'" The three explorers exchanged bewildered glances. What could it mean? And how was this small, broken figurine connected to Dr. Kovac's disappearance? Sarah connected the broken arm holding a detailed staff. It made a clicking sound as if to fit perfectly, but nothing happened. Sarah, confused, said, "Maybe it's broken." Amelia, also checking over the small figurine, "Seems to be intact. Can't see anything else missing." The trio, tired from the days of digging and searching, decided to call it a night and get some rest. Later that night, a powerful sound filled the makeshift hut, awakening the trio with terror. They rushed over to the room where the bag had been sitting, and to their surprise, the bag was almost completely destroyed, with the smell of burnt papers filling their nostrils. "What the heck was that?" Sarah exclaimed in a shorting breath. "Not sure, but whatever it was, it left tracks, very big ones." The trio, crouching down, running their fingers in the huge impressions in the dirt, reassemble what looked like giant human footprints. "Those look human," Amelia scoffed in shock. "Not quite, apart from the size. It has 6-toe impressions, which matches a lot of the myths and legend stories from around the world in ancient times," James stated with wonder and slight fear in his voice. "Whatever this thing is, we need to find it, and quickly," Sarah said with a certain calm about her. As they pondered these questions, none of them noticed the subtle shift in the air around them. High above, hidden by the glare of the sun, a sleek, metallic object hovered silently, its occupants watching the scene below with cold, calculating eyes. In the days that followed, Amelia, James, and Sarah found themselves caught up in a whirlwind of mystery and danger, with reports flooding in about break-ins at museums. Their investigation led them from the Bosnian pyramids to the bustling streets of major cities around the world. At every turn, they encountered resistance, not from academic rivals or government agencies, but from seemingly ordinary people whose eyes held a strange, otherworldly gleam. It was in a dimly lit museum storage room in Cairo that they first encountered her. The Guardian Queen, no longer confined to her figurine form, stood before them in all her ethereal glory. Her form had been fully restored. The staff she wielded was pulsing with an otherworldly energy. "You have freed me," she said, her voice resonating with ancient power. "Now we must act quickly. The invaders have already taken root in your world." The Guardian explained the truth that had been hidden for millennia. Earth was not the first world to face this threat. Across the galaxy, planet after planet had fallen to these insidious invaders, beings that could mimic human form perfectly, infiltrating the highest levels of society and industry. "They disguise themselves as your leaders, your captains of industry," the Guardian warned. "They push your world to the brink of destruction, exhausting its resources and poisoning its environment. Once they have taken all they can, they will reduce this planet to ash and move on to the next." The revelation shook Amelia, James, and Sarah to their core. Suddenly, the strange resistance they had encountered, the inexplicable corporate decisions that seemed to prioritize profit over planetary health, all made a terrifying kind of sense. With the Guardian Queen's guidance, they began a frantic race against time. Their quest took them to museums and private collections around the world, gathering ancient artifacts that, when assembled, formed a powerful communicator. This device, the Queen explained, could summon her other Guardians who had been scattered across the earth, waiting for the call to arms. But as they worked, the alien infiltrators became aware of their efforts. The trio found themselves pursued across continents, narrowly escaping capture time and time again. It was during one of these close calls in the back alleys of Tokyo that James made a startling discovery. Ducking into an antique shop to evade their pursuers, James's hand brushed against a seemingly ordinary crystal on a dusty shelf. The moment he touched it, he felt a surge of energy course through his body. The Guardian Queen, who had been guiding them invisibly, materialized in an instant, her eyes wide with shock. "The amplifier," she breathed, her voice a mix of awe and disbelief. "We thought it lost to the ages. With this, we may yet have a chance." The crystal, it turned out, was no ordinary rock. It had the power to magnify energy, potentially doubling or even tripling the strength of whoever wielded it. The Queen had believed it destroyed eons ago, in the first great battle against the invaders. Armed with this unexpected advantage, the group pressed on. They completed the communicator and summoned the scattered Guardians. As the ancient protectors assembled, so too did the alien forces gather their strength. The final confrontation took place in the shadow of the Bosnian pyramids, where their journey had begun. The Guardians, led by their Queen, faced off against the alien infiltrators, who had shed their human disguises to reveal their true, horrifying forms. To the humans' shock, the aliens produced a weapon of their own, a dark, pulsating orb that seemed to drain the very life from the air around it. The two sides were locked in a stalemate, their powers equally matched. It was then that Amelia realized the true importance of the amplifier. With trembling hands, she presented it to the Guardian Queen. Use this, she said, her voice steady despite her fear. It might be our only chance. The Queen hesitated for a moment, then nodded gravely. She took the crystal and raised it high, its facets catching the light of the setting sun. As she channeled her power through it, the crystal began to glow, its light growing brighter and brighter until it was painful to look at. The surge of energy that followed was unlike anything the humans had ever experienced. It washed over the battlefield in a wave of pure, radiant force. The alien weapons sputtered and died, its dark energy overwhelmed by the amplified power of the Guardians. For a moment it seemed as though victory was at hand. The aliens reeled, their forces in disarray. But as the light of the amplifier began to fade, a chilling realization set in. The battle might be won, but the war was far from over. The alien leader, a towering figure with eyes like bottomless voids, locked gazes with the Guardian Queen. "This is not the end," it hissed, its voice like grinding stone. "We are Legion, spread across your world and beyond. You cannot hope to root us all out." As the alien forces retreated, vanishing into portals of swirling darkness, the humans and Guardians were left to contemplate the truth of those words. They had won a crucial victory, but at what cost? And how many more battles lay ahead? Amelia, James, and Sarah stood amidst the aftermath, their minds reeling from all they had learned and experienced. The world they thought they knew had been irrevocably changed. As the Guardian Queen approached them, her expression grave yet determined, they knew that their lives would never be the same. "You have done well," the Queen said, her voice echoing with the weight of ages. "But our work is far from finished. The amplifier has given us hope, but the enemy is cunning and patient. We must be vigilant, for they will return." As the sun set on the Bosnian pyramids, casting long shadows across the battle-scarred landscape, the small band of humans and Guardians knew their work was far from over. For months they scoured the globe, rooting out the remaining alien infiltrators. It was a grueling task, requiring all of their combined skills, knowledge, and the amplified power of the Guardians. One by one, they uncovered and neutralized the hidden alien agents. Corporate boardrooms, government offices, and shadowy organizations were purged of the insidious influence. With each victory, the Earth seemed to breathe a little easier, as if the planet itself was slowly healing from a long, festering wound. However, as they closed in on what they believed to be the last of the infiltrators, a chilling realization dawned on them. One of the aliens, more cunning and resourceful than the rest, had managed to elude their grasp time and time again. It was during their final confrontation, in a hidden base deep beneath the Antarctic ice, that they came face to face with this last formidable foe. The battle was intense, pushing both the Guardians and the humans to their limits. But just as victory seemed within reach, the alien activated a device unlike anything they had seen before. A swirling vortex of energy erupted in the chamber, and before anyone could react, the alien leapt through it, disappearing in a flash of blinding light. As the portal collapsed, the Guardian Queen let out a cry of frustration and dismay. "No," she exclaimed, her voice echoing off the icy walls. "We were so close." As the dust settled and the group gathered their wits, the Queen turned to address them, her expression a mix of triumph and concern. "That was the last of them on Earth," she said, her voice tinged with both relief and resignation. "But the one that escaped, I fear this was always their plan, a fail-safe in case their invasion was thwarted." Amelia stepped forward, her brow furrowed in concern. "What does this mean for us? For Earth?" The Queen's gaze softened as she looked at the brave humans who had fought alongside her. "It means we have won a great victory, but our vigilance can never waver. The escaped one will return to its home world to report on their failure and our unexpected strength. Whether this will deter them from future attempts or spur them to develop new strategies, only time will tell." James spoke up, his voice filled with determination. "Then we'll be ready for them. We know what to look for now, and we have the Guardians and the Amplifier on our side." The Queen nodded approvingly. Indeed, and now we have a world to heal. In the years that followed, the Guardians worked alongside humanity to undo the damage wrought by the alien infiltrators. Sustainable technologies, once suppressed, were brought to the forefront. Clean energy sources, long ignored in favor of destructive alternatives, became the new standard. The Earth slowly but surely began to recover from centuries of exploitation. The trio from Melbourne University found themselves at the center of this global transformation. Their knowledge and experiences made them invaluable in bridging the gap between the ancient wisdom of the Guardians and the scientific understanding of the modern world. As cities were redesigned to work in harmony with nature, and as free energy became a reality for all, a new era of human civilization dawned. But even as they celebrated their achievements, they never forgot the threat that lurked beyond the stars. High atop a newly constructed eco-friendly skyscraper in Melbourne, Amelia, James, and Sarah stood with the Guardian Queen, gazing up at the night sky. Advanced telescopes and detection systems, born from a fusion of Guardian technology and human innovation, scanned the cosmos ceaselessly. "Do you think they'll come back?" Sarah asked, voicing the question that had lingered in all their minds. The Queen was silent for a moment before responding. "It's possible, but perhaps they have learned that Earth is not a world to be trifled with. Either way, we will be ready." As they stood there watching the stars twinkle in the vast expanse of space, they felt a mix of hope and determination. The Earth had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger for it. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, Guardians and humans, united in their commitment to protect their home and build a better world. The story of the lost artifact, the Guardian Queen, and the alien invasion had come to an end. But in many ways, it was just the beginning of a new chapter in human history. As the trio of explorers had seen the fruits of their labor and, with much excitement for what the future might hold, they also thought and discussed about how far back in Earth's history did all this begin. Did they wipe out the dinosaurs? Did they infiltrate the tribes of the Earth, wielding them in certain directions all those years ago? The questions were quite intriguing as they gazed out over the transforming world.